my name is Joseph Carlson, and this is the Grift of Politics, episode 53. I'm joined by Avin Carroll. Avin, how you doing?
I am doing good. How are you doing, sir?
Good. Thanks for doing this short notice and all. I was out of town, but yeah, I tried. I'm trying very hard. I know we have a political podcast, but I'm trying to take breaks with news. But man, there's just so much that I'm just like, what?
I mean, that's the problem, right? There is just so much.
And there's new fires every day, and it doesn't
That was
seem to
one thing
end.
about it.
Yeah, it doesn't end. So I think in this episode, I mean, last episode we kind of vented a little bit, but I think this episode we really just want to point out the grift that is happening with our 47th president right now. The absolute, I've heard the commentary on the right from Ben Shapiro and Glenn Beck and these
Right.
people, all these people about how the Biden, well, in Fox News, the Biden crime family. You hear that all the time. The Biden crime family and all their crimes. By the way, Hunter was, he did go through legal processes. Biden had the prerogative to parole, offer him parole, give him a parole. I was not a fan of that because the legal process was working out. It sounded like it was going to go his way, if I remember right. I mean, I'd have to look into that again. But man, oh man. Now, did you hear the newest thing on the right? Not only the grift, but there's some people on the right, and especially Ben Shapiro, who want to pardon Derek Chauvin. Have you heard this?
I have not.
The officer that killed.
Although, I will say, like, I shouldn't say I haven't heard it recently, but I have heard it definitely circulated for quite a while.
Right. Well, I've heard it recently, and the thing is, what I think is interesting, though, is people brought up the fact that he has federal charges that were brought against him, which obviously you can get a pardon, right? But he also has state charges, which, to my knowledge, you cannot pardon. So is he going to get at it? Is it just going to commute that part of his sentence? I don't know how that's going to work. Because it's like, well, you erase the federal thing, but he still got, what was it, like 20 years of a state charge. So, that would just be like the perfect icing on the cake to the grift mill that is going on right now. I mean, I sent you these articles. I don't know if we're going to read everything with these articles, but like coming into this, I don't know about your media diet now, if you're like me and trying to take small bites as opposed to have the whole buffet. But was there anything in these that you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that way he's ripping us off? Or like, was all this stuff you kind of like aware of?
1789, the investment group that
Yeah. Yeah.
Don Jr. is a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it Eric Trump? It's Don Jr.
It's Don Jr. Of course. It's always. I think Eric Trump is the one doing the crypto. He went to Qatar or somewhere. He's. It seems like Eric Trump is the one signing the real estate deals. To build the Trump towers and places. It seems like that's his prerogative. It seems like Don Jr. is hoovering up all this, executive branch money with these investors and just yeah. So
I mean, I think Shapiro actually was the one that called out that, like,
the plane. He
if
called out the plane.
Biden were doing this, we'd be going crazy right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is 100% true. So, like, the first and foremost, the thing that's most forward in the news at the moment is the gift of a plane from Saudi Arabia, the $400 million palatial 747 to be used as Air Force One. And I think the thing about that I agree with Ben on, right? Shapiro is, right, like, if Biden had done this, they would be screaming from the mountaintops.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, diehard loyalists of Trump are questioning him for it.
Right.
I mean, specifically, I'm going to bring up Laura Loomer, who's like, no, say it's not so. Like, I didn't think you would do this, blah, 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 blah.
I didn't bring up I'm not going to bring up the exact tweet. Laura Loomer, just for people who don't know, is like certifiably insane. Like, she thinks that 9/11 was like do you know this? She thinks 9/11 was like an inside job. When on the campaign trail, she went with Trump to the 9/11 memorial, which I was like, what the heck? Also, she did a big racist post about Kamala being in the White House, and it's going to start smelling like curry,
Yeah,
and
you mentioned that.
like she is insane. You know, in that post where she talked about the plane, she said, I'll see if I can bring it up, but she basically said, I would take a bullet for President Trump twice in the
Yes.
post.
Yep.
Twice. And then said, but we got to call a spade a spade. This is bad, right? Basically,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, it's so open and so flagrant. I don't know if people really know what to do with it. But I think what you really have going on the right is still this idea that, well, no matter what Trump does, it's still better than what Kamala would do.
Right.
The problem is there's literally quid pro quo going on. Like
Yeah.
Trump's getting this gift of
Yeah.
a plane, and then suddenly we're going to lift all of the restrictions on NVIDIA
And
AI chips.
and probably other
And
stuff we don't know yet. You know, like other
Saudi
things.
Arabia, that's been pushing for us to lift sanctions on Syria, has been pushing for that. And
Well,
suddenly
we
we're lifting sanctions on Syria and meeting with the new leader in Syria.
yeah.
Of which I will say, right, the Shazad, Shazad?
I know he changed his name, so I'm not gonna. Yeah.
The former leader of Syria, right? Like he was a
Oh,
terrible, awful
Assad.
person.
Yeah.
Assad,
Yeah.
not Shazad. Oh man, I'm
Was it
mixing
Assad?
up people.
Yeah.
I feel
Well,
absolutely ashamed.
even
Actually,
I
where
was
that name
listening to
came from. But anyway,
Oh, good.
what I was getting at was right. All that stuff was when Assad was in control, and he definitely did a lot of terrible, awful
Terrible.
things, and he's not in power anymore.
Yeah.
And so, like, I could see the United States already having a position to go that way. But the fact that he's meeting with the new leader, we're lifting sanctions, we're doing the ag chips, all right about the same time that, like, oh yeah, come build a new Trump Tower. Oh yeah, here's this $400 million plane. Like, all that is just like, guys, if you seriously thought that what Hunter Biden was doing, when there hasn't ever really been any true direct evidence, just lots of really heavy circumstantial evidence,
Well, I'll say
that
this.
you believe in the heart of your heart, like, hey, where there's smoke, there's fire. Let's
Right.
take a look over here
Yeah.
too. Hold your people to account. We're literally selling America to foreign country policy ideas, and you're
Yeah.
like, whatever. It's still better than Kamala.
Yeah.
No,
The communist.
I mean, actually, right? I don't know that Kamala would be doing better stuff. It would just not be selling us out to foreign countries. It would be other policy issues.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Much smarter people than me have pointed out that it seems that Trump is the idea of getting payouts from these Middle Eastern countries because they don't have to worry about the trappings of democracy, of like investigations and a democratic process. They can literally just go, hey, we bought you a plane. And you're like,
Yeah.
thanks. And I think
Yeah.
that's why Trump, because everybody does make other people made the connection that Trump really seems to like these like autocrats and dictators because there's no pretense to their, hey, we're just going to do this. Okay, great. Like, I don't have to worry about the people. I'm not going to worry about an election where I get out of office. Like, I can just hand you a bag of cash. And I think Trump really is like, oh, this is great. I like this because it's like, this is what I'd want to do. I'd want to like, and I did when I was doing real estate probably of just, I don't have to worry about workers. I can just, and so I think that's why he likes these people because they just do stuff. And he's like, oh man, I don't have to worry about the Senate or the House and, all this kind of stuff. I will say like,
I wish I could just do that stuff free. I wish I had a government that let me just run roughshod over my people
yeah,
for my own personal enrichment and gain.
yeah, I wish I wasn't a representative of the American people. I could just be me, which he's just treating it like it's him now. It is, yeah, it's bad. I mean, to point out, like you said, this 1789 Capitol. This is from Business Insider, by the way. Bethany
Yeah.
McLean. This came out a few days ago, so it's pretty fresh. And did you hear that the White House is already thinking of looking into Business Insider or whatever? Like they're going to do an investigation. I have no idea why, because they did investigative journalism. I guess we're going after. I mean, we were kind of doing it before with like, the law firms and stuff, but now we're really just going after people that are like did an investigative
Anyone
report.
and everyone that is in dissent of the president or his administration and what they're doing, they're going after him. And
Yeah.
it is
It's very
maybe
autocratic.
mild form, but it is still very autocratic. It is very much the
It's fashion.
autocratic
It's fascist.
model
Yeah.
of intimidate anyone who questions you.
I didn't include it in the articles, but there's 3 professors that are American professors at different universities that study fascism. 3 of them had decided to move to Canada. So
I mean,
they did a big opinion where they said, "Hey, we study this our whole lives, our whole academic careers. We see what's coming down the pike. We're out, and we're gonna go live somewhere where we don't have to worry about this because, they're already going after Harvard. They've already gone after Columbia. The Harvard thing was weird though because then they're like, "Oh, this letter is fake. We're sorry. We sent you this fake letter. Why did you take any of this serious?" Did you hear about that? And then so they had a list of demands, and then Harvard fought them. Said no way because what happened behind the scenes was the Trump administration sent a letter to Columbia like, "Hey, we're going to pull your research funding if you don't do these 8 things." So Columbia said, "Fine." They capitulated, said, "We're going to do these 8 things," and the Trump administration said, "Well, we're going to pull your funding anyway." So the letter went
yeah.
out. The letter went out to Harvard, and Harvard is like, "We're going to fight this because look at them. It didn't matter if they capitulated. You're just. So Harvard started to fight, and then the Trump administration had to back down and go, "Oh, that letter we sent out, that was a fake letter." And I can't believe you.
Was it fake to Columbia too?
Yeah, I know that's the point. But like many people pointed out in the news, were like this had the signatures of the departments on it from the White House of who was doing this. So like a fake letter in your draft folder is going to have everybody's signature on it. Like what? Usually, if it's a draft letter, it'll just say draft or something on it, not have everybody's signature on it, whatever. Um, yeah, I mean this is pretty bad. I mean back to the general grift. It's like they're just getting all this money, this 1789 capital, and it's 2
Right.
miles from Mar-a-Lago. Man, when you rip people off, Evan, and you rip the American people off, you don't want to have a long commute. You want to go home to dad. You want to be able to do your laundry or have somebody do your laundry for you at Mar-a-Lago, and then you want to drive down the street 2 miles, or have you be driven down the street 2 miles. Let's be honest. Because you probably have Secret Service protection because you're the son of the president. And then you're going to build your portfolio, which includes Elon Musk's SpaceX. Also, I heard that the Trump administration has been telling people, like countries, like, hey, if you want to get in our good graces and win American money for like development money, you should probably throw in some money for SpaceX in your portfolio. If you say you're going to support SpaceX, we'll give you guys some contracts and stuff like that. So countries are doing that. They're like, all right, we weren't thinking about SpaceX before, or Starlink. Sorry, Starlink. We weren't thinking about
Well,
Starlink.
SpaceX.
Yeah.
SpaceX owns Starlink.
Yeah.
Starlink is, if you want to invest in Starlink, you're doing it through SpaceX.
Oh yeah.
Um,
So
and not only that, but like these are insider trading, like buying shares of a company before it's gone public. I shouldn't say insider trading. That's not the way to do it. This is trading insiders who get
right,
access
right.
pre-market to invest into companies.
Yeah.
They're not only doing it with SpaceX, they're doing it with XAI as well. And the funny thing about the article that really stood out to me on that was okay, so they're 1789 capital. Don Jr. left his job right after Trump got elected and went over to this tiny little VC company, real small in the world of VC. It's only like $100 million versus most of them are in the billions.
Yeah, that's crazy. When I read that, I was like, dude, that's like
Since
change.
November, they're up to $500 million of investment.
November.
And they're expected to be at a billion before the end of the year. So, like, they're just exploding. And most of it appears to be, and admitting appears, right? There is no proof of anything improprietary, but most of it appears to be exactly what we were upset with Hunter Biden about.
They have this
Using
company.
and leveraging his relationship with his father. And so this tiny little company that's really small is being given this like preferred trader status
Yeah, preferential
to get
treatment.
access to these companies before they go to market when they normally would not ever be looked at for it because they're so small.
Right. Yeah.
Um, it just there was a few other things too, like they're investing in Andrew, which has won a bunch of contracts since Trump's got into office with defense. There's another couple of defense companies that they've been able to invest in that
Andurill's
are
like a.
working to win some DoD contracts.
See, we always thought Anduril was something positive, like the sword from Lord of the Rings,
Mm.
but no, it's an AI company now that does like weapon systems or something, or it does like AI logistic stuff for the military, or they're a private contractor, right? So I just like to point out point number 5,362. Why these people are unoriginal is the fact that they just rip off names from fiction, but they also just do like the worst thing with it. Instead of being like, "Hey, we're gonna be a nonprofit that gives food to low income people, or help with the red tape of housing so people can have more housing, or help people do like job placement. Now we're going to do AI for the military because that's where the money is, stupid. That's just what we're going to do. So,
I mean, look, if we've learned anything from Kevin Smith, the real money's in dick and fart jokes.
pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Um, but when it comes to the government, if you're trying to make money, it's defense contracts.
Yeah,
Like
it's
hands down,
yeah,
defense contracts.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry,
So,
nice little aside there, but yeah, like that right there is one of those things where it was like, this is way more obvious than what Hunter was doing.
yeah, I
Like
mean,
way more. I shouldn't say obvious, but more open.
that's
And yet, again, no one cares.
well, that was Mike Johnson. He was asked about this. Like, isn't this like the plane? Like, isn't this all bad? And he's like, well, he literally said, well, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, well, the Biden things, they did this behind closed doors, and Trump's doing it for everybody to see. And it's like, oh, okay. That makes me feel better, Mike Johnson. Thank you. And then they specifically asked him. Well, I think the follow up question was about the plane, but they were asking about all this other stuff, the Bitcoin and all that. But when they asked him about the plane, there was a quote that I didn't pull, but it was in whatever, some article. He said, that's not really my wheelhouse. And I thought, okay, sure, it isn't. Do you not know?
Senator?
Yeah.
The separate branch of the government that's meant to be superior to. By the way, Article 1 of our Constitution establishes the responsibilities and the importance of Congress. It's before the executive branch on purpose, by design. I read an article this week by, I don't remember who it was by, but it was talking about Supreme Court Justice John Roberts giving a speech, a graduation speech.
Oh, yeah, I think I heard a little.
About another former justice who had brought it up, and Roberts reiterates. I want to say it was the early 2000s. This justice brought up, like, hey, we're getting rid of civics requirements in school. Like, this is a really bad idea because people will understand how government works.
Right.
And then Roberts reiterated, like, we've gotten rid of civics. And because of that, people don't understand how government is really supposed to work. And so it's easier to mislead or misguide them.
That's true. I mean, I heard some people on the left kind of criticize that, but I do get what you're saying, like the idea that people kind of need
They
to be.
criticize it because they actually don't agree with it, or do they criticize it because it came from Roberts and they hate him?
Well, that I don't know. I can't see into their heart. I mean, they did rant about Roberts, but their point, it was Secular Talk, Kyle Kozlinski. His point was, hey, that's true. Well, I'm actually softening his blow. He didn't really talk about. I think it is true that like we don't teach civics and we should, or people should be a little bit more plugged in. But his point was, hey, you guys gave Trump like the immunity thing, and you guys are like, so it's like instead of going, hey, these kids don't know about civics, it's like, why don't you look at yourself and go, what have we done? What have we done to open the door for this? Like right now we're having, the Trump administration, we talked about last episode, they're bumping against this immigration thing. And it's like, okay, so what are you guys going to do, to really, to buttress it? So instead of looking at the kids and go, these darn kids need to get off my lawn, it's like, why don't you look in the mirror and say, like, what should we do to buttress the court?
Congress, Congress, the executive branch, and the legislative branch should all very, very strongly understand where they stand in the Constitution already.
Well, you know what?
The fact that people don't understand it means that they can abuse it
Right.
and mislead.
Which is
If
true.
people understand, it's easier for the people to be like, no, that's totally out of line. Like, you can't do that. Like, if more people understood how the executive branch is structured, since we've stopped doing civics classes, if more people understood how our government is structured as three branches that are co-equal, that hold each other accountable, so you have checks and balances, like, then as Trump is standing up saying we need to impeach judges that disagree with me, people would be way more up in arms about it. But people have a lower understanding of it. And there's a lot of people in the MAGA right, especially younger men who didn't get that education, who are like, yeah, these judges are being activists and getting in the way. No, that's literally their job. And
Yeah.
our Constitution is designed to slow the process down so that no one president who happens to come in power with the rest can change the whole country and make us a monarchy again.
Yeah, it's
Maybe not a monarchy in name, but a monarchy in practice.
yeah.
Like it's meant to slow things down. So there's a really funny thing. You brought up the immunity case from the Supreme Court. Like, hey,
Right.
what are you doing, Supreme Court? Like, you did this. And what did I say when that happened? You guys on the right, like, this is going to backfire on you because people on the left are going to use it. Well, guess what? There's a really major case now where someone on the left is being charged by the Trump administration. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's not. It is definitely being driven by the Trump administration, even if it isn't necessarily direct appointees. The judge that was arrested for
Oh.
giving advice to and supposedly protecting the
Oh,
immigrant
yeah, yeah,
and like letting him out the back door and doing all that, like that whole thing, she's now arguing that the same immunity that applies to the president applies to her because she was in the middle of official acts.
yeah. Well, also, I mean, if you read more of that story, she basically just let them out in a different place in a public hallway. And apparently agents saw the immigrant. I'll digress, but basically it was like,
Okay.
okay, well, and apparently what I heard during that case, she, obviously this happened, and you got to call a lawyer, right? One of the guys that took the case was like a Bush era conservative lawyer who's like, I'll take your case, and it's like, wow, for the call to come in the house to be like, no, this is dumb, and them going like, no, what are you talking about? And I was like, that's. I heard George Conway talk about it, that her legal part of her legal defense, like the team, he's like, these people are like, one of the guys was like a hardened conservative, and he's like, and that guy is no nonsense. So if he took your case and said, I'll take your case, like, that's bad. I'll just say this. I've been thinking about this, and I'm probably said it on the pod. We've done a lot of episodes, but I do think that, you know, I do listen. The Bulwark has a focus group podcast, and they literally play audio from voters when they ask them questions. And
Oh, cool.
I'll send you a link for the last one. There's a debate about, if voters are stupid or whatever. Sarah Bulwark, Sarah Longwell of the Bulwark, she's like the owner of it. She gets in a fight with, well, not in a fight, but they have a disagreement. One of her other hosts, JVL, his name's Jonathan Last. They get in a fight about who's stupid. JVL's like, they're stupid. Screw them, basically. And she's like, no, you can't say that. Like, they're just low information. They don't care about this. And it is starting to get to the point where it's like, oh, because there's no consequences. Like, all these existential things like democracy and climate change, no one has time for that. I mean, some of us do. Like, I care about climate change. You care about climate change. Like, we talk about it. We read about it. We send each other energy things, clean energy things, like videos and stuff. But, even democracy, like, I'm not saying it was wrong because, like, really, Trump is a threat to democracy and all this stuff. And the Democrats, they weren't effective. There's all this stuff coming out now about Biden's age, which there's a book coming out. It's not by Jake Tapper. There's another one that came out by just two investigative journalists. I want to get that one. I think is the one I want to get. But anyway, there's this whole talk about like the message was, hey, Trump is a threat to democracy, and like you said, because of civics, people they disengage with that, and they don't really need to worry about it until it's like a problem. Until like many people have been interviewed,
Right.
especially these immigrants families where they're like, hey, I've been in, I'm literally, some of them have been like, I'm in the process of getting a green card. I logged onto the app. I've had 2 interviews. I have my 3rd one in 6 months or whatever. Like, this is what America is. I'm going through I went to a port of entry. The agent said, hey, show up at this date. You're in the app. Give us your paperwork. We'll give you some paperwork. This, and that's existential until people start getting rounded up and sending to Venezuela, which you're like, wait a minute, like, we were a family and this person had worked in the country forever. So I think until Tim Miller says this on the Bulwark all the time, like, until there's real consequences for like a lot of Trump voters, and I think it'll be these tariffs and the
Okay.
money and Walmart. By the way, Walmart is going to raise prices. That's going to be huge. Trump
Yep.
tried to chuchel to them. What do they call it? A yeet or whatever. Like, do not raise prices. And I'm like, I have a feeling.
Complete.
Yeah, Well, I have a feeling that is what Walmart's going to do anyway. And we'll see. There's going to be a big fight, I think, over if Walmart raises prices because, hey, man, I could talk a lot about Walmart's business practices, but like if you're somewhere and you need something quickly, you go to Walmart. You're like, all right, I need a sleeping bag or anything, or food's cheaper. Like I get it. Like I totally understand if you're on a budget.
Yeah.
You're like, I can't go to Safeway. I gotta go to Walmart. Like they have cheaper stuff. I got 4 kids to feed or whatever. And so when those prices go up, there's going to be some big waves, I think. And I don't think Trump yelling at them on Truth Social is going to affect anything. So
Right.
we'll see. Did you see a few weeks ago, there was a picture of the port here in Seattle? A guy was on a walk, and he was an old marine like biologist or whatever, and the news went out because he lives near there and he walks and he can look over the bay and see the port, and he just pointed in the picture, he just pointed at the bay, and they got his finger in the picture like pointing at the bay, and you see fewer ships coming in, and he's like, listen, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I am a scientist, and that's not good. Like you just look at the bay and go,
I read an article this week, different publication, but it was talking about like how are conservatives like denying this? This is as bad as denying Trump's senility or Biden's senility.
oh, you could say Trump's senility. I've heard
there
some of
is
this.
no.
You could say
Well, there's Trump's too,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's a different thing. But specifically, like the media was denying that Biden was slipping.
Yeah.
Now conservative media is denying that the tariffs are having an impact. Like even that small period of time that we had all the super high tariffs on China. It was like the Port of LA is down 35%.
Yeah.
They're talking about layoffs of drivers and longshoremen.
Yeah.
And that's going to continue. Like they're talking about like we don't have any like major spike coming in, and we can only process so much. So
Right.
this is literally the same thing that happened during COVID that caused inflation to go bonkers.
Yeah.
Was people weren't manufacturing and shipping stuff, and so supplies were low, demand was high.
Yeah.
Right? This is going to be the exact same thing. Supplies are going to be low, demand is going to be higher. Well, demand's going to remain equivalent, but supply is going to shrink, and it's already in the pipe.
Yeah, and he didn't, and I mean, I know we're talking about the grift, but the idea of these people coming in and he got like, I don't know what he got nothing, like I don't, and then by the way, a 30% tariff on China is insane. Like we were like,
It's
oh
still super high.
yeah, we were like, oh, it's 145, that's ridiculous, that's a cartoon number, that's like if Wile E. Coyote just wrote
But you
140.
notice, like, the market went nuts when the tariffs all came down to 10%, which is still like 5 to 10 times higher than most of the tariffs. I think I was reading that
Was it
the
30
average
for
tariff
China? Was it 30? Whatever. There's a lot.
China is 30, but I'm talking like the universal flat
Oh yeah,
10%
the
on
10%.
everyone. The U.S. average tariff on incoming goods was 1.8%,
Holy crap, dude.
1.7,
So 10%
and
is
it
like,
is now 10 across the board.
yeah.
And I was reading an article that was basically criticizing this whole thing of like Trump's whole argument on tariffs is going to bring in money. We're going to get rid of the income tax,
Pay off
yada
the
yada
debt.
yada.
Yeah.
Like, that whole thing's falling apart. He's completely lost. Like if that's really what he wants to do, the 10% across the board, like we're bringing in more money, but it's a drop in the bucket compared to what we do on income taxes, and there's no way it's going to make a difference. It doesn't even cover the cuts that they're trying to codify right now.
Oh
in
yeah,
Congress.
they said conservatively that's going to add like 2 trillion to the debt. I was like, I thought this was a party of fiscal conservatism that was like,
Over 10 years or something like that.
that's still a lot though. That's,
Yeah.
hey, if you want to be fiscally conservative. Okay, so we're this and then
Grift.
yeah, the thing is, this is kind of a grift because the idea is these people come to him. They don't go through Congress. Congress has the ability to set tariffs, but instead these people are doing delegations to go to Trump and going, "Hey man, what could we do?" And he's like, "Well, listen, Eric Jr. will come. We're going to build a tower in Walmart." And like, no, I don't know. Like it's just like they're all coming to him to get a specific deal. It's like, my God, the one that is like underreported, and I know you're a little bit curious. I'll ask you this before we get onto the crypto thing. I know you're crypto curious. Are you more crypto curious now, or are you like crypto skeptical, or like where are you now? I mean, you've talked about it a little bit before.
Honestly, Trump's stance on crypto, I actually appreciate, and he's doing it because he's making obscene amounts of money on it. And so again, this is grift,
So
right?
you're
People that are very wealthy who've paid to get into his sphere,
mhm, mhm.
um, are they have his ear, and he's making money, and his kids are making money. So his kids are saying, "Dad, don't get in the way of this.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting rich off of this."
Don't screw this up
Um,
for me. Don't screw this up for me. I just want to make all this money.
but but I do appreciate um, his policy towards cryptocurrencies. Um, I have no desire to replace the dollar, but the reality of it is, in a digital space, like moving that currency around has a lot of benefits, right? Um,
What policy of
let alone
his?
blockchain has a lot of other benefits for moving things forward, right? As a real estate broker in Washington, one of the things that I look forward to in blockchain is moving title,
Oh,
right? Moving title and deed on a home is a process that's very challenging and difficult. Everything needs to be recorded accurately. The ability to do that in a digital workflow that's recorded and tracked every step along the way, that is nearly impossible to forge. By basically doing NFT versions of the record,
hmm.
then um, like that's going to improve a lot of stuff just in the real estate transaction, right? But uh, on the flip side of it, right, like I have a really big issue with meme coins
Yeah.
and trash coins, and literally what Trump is doing
The
is meme coins and trash
We try
coins.
not to swear in this pod, but there is another term for the coins that we will not use on the. You can look it
Oh,
up.
we swear all the time, Joe. You can say
Have
it.
you
They're
heard
called
the?
shit coins.
Yeah, they're called shit coins. Which I love the fact that some journalist or somebody is like, "This is a shit coin," and it's like now, like just like that's what this is. I was like, "That's great." Have
It's a
you?
blogger. I mean, really, honestly, it's the sphere of people that are very pro crypto, and they've got whole uh, blogs and YouTube channels and videos, and like I don't follow it enough. I probably should follow it more, but this goes back to like having enough time, space, energy, and capacity to follow that
Right,
stuff.
right.
Anyway, with that said, um, no, I don't support the grift. I don't support the grift on people who've already been doing it. We've already had people get sued and thrown in jail for crypto fraud. That's essentially what's going on with the Trump family at the moment,
And
right? Like,
but they've also got rid of the people that are looking into that. Like they've closed the agencies that are looking into So it's like, wow, that's great. It is weird in this.
any and everything that is critical or holds them to account, like it's
Mhm.
all disappearing, right?
Yeah.
And again, people on the right either don't have enough space, energy, capacity to do it. In my opinion, that low information voter, or they're stupid, I don't think that's the problem. I think we have siloed enough of our constituency. Enough voters are now, I'm on the left or I'm on the right,
Mhm.
and they're not getting news from sources that question them. Like Joe, you go out of your way to listen to conservative news and read conservative news because you want to
It's
know what the other side is saying.
at
And
my
how
detriment.
much of the time do they either utterly dismiss something that's critical or absolutely just brush over it and never even talk about it?
Yeah,
Because they know their audience doesn't want to hear it.
yeah, I do think I mean, we talked about it in some of the early episodes. I think some of this is, I mean, it is cultish, right? Like the idea that like, well, our dear leader is taking care of everything, and we don't need to worry about it, and you know, and I remember, and I brought this up
It's
before.
very cultish.
I brought this up before, but I was really thinking about it. Like when the January 6th the insurrection happened, and we're calling it insurrection because we have eyeballs and there's video footage of it. I remember the Blaze, the Glenn Beck network, having to go. I'm not going to say on air, but they had to record a YouTube video, and be like, "Hey, we have to report." Like literally, look dead to camera and go, "Listen, we're recording this. We're reporting this because it's news." Basically, telling because they said we've gotten comments that this didn't really happen, or it isn't as we showed it, and they had a guy who has recently come out as like not a good person, did a lot of bad things, but he was there in the crowd filming, just filming what people were doing. And he had to come out and go, this is what I saw. And so that's the type of people you're dealing with when, like, no matter what I think about CNN or whatever, It's like, I know that they're like, oh, we screwed up, like they'll issue a correction or whatever. Hey, we got this wrong, blah, blah, blah. And then there's biases, like you and I talked about in our corporate media episode. Of course, CNN is more leaning liberal. But like to just have to look at your audience and go, hey, guys, it's bad, but like we did this, so we have to talk about it. And the audience pushing back going, what? Why are you talking about this? It's like that is a new level of, like you said,
We're being
siloed.
told this is a lie. This didn't happen. No, like we were there. We saw it. It did.
Yeah, which I want to find it again, but Glenn Beck, right after it happened, did like a straight to camera, lights turned down on his thing, looking, the day before that other video came out. So it was like the moment it happened, saying like, you pretty much, everything that just happened, you have made everything the left has said about us true, like by doing this. And it was like a 6 or 8 minute rant. It's no longer on YouTube. I can't find it. Like, I remember watching that the day after going, oh, wow, he's really, we screwed up. And you're like, woo, this is going to live. I'll try again to see if it's back on, but I tried searching for it and it's gone.
Someone else has it somewhere. I would hope that someone would have grabbed that from it. Well, I would imagine someone on the left would have it.
Yeah, it's in the archives, but it's one of those things. It's like, so this is the core group you're looking for. There's been talk on the right of like, why would you start criticizing, or how could you start criticizing Trump? If you're a senator or whatever, a congressperson, and it's like, well, the core number has to go down, the base has to get mad. Where it's like, what has he got? 40% is his low cap, 42%, something like that.
At what point do Trump protectionist congressmen become more afraid of their constituency than they are of being primaried?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think right now Trump knows, like a lot of people have, smarter than me have said, well, they've already baked in the cape they're going to lose the midterms, right? Like they all know, like, hey, we're all boned. And I guess, because Trump doesn't use Congress, again, with these meme coins, with people coming to his whatever, he's like, well, I don't need them. These people just come to me, they'll give me money for the crypto, I'll give them the tour of the White House or whatever. It says, I think they get a tour of something. But I did like in this article from Wired by, Joel Kalili and Paige Omak, that all these people have already dumped their coins. So like there's already a rug pull happening where they just bought it just to, juice the skids. And yeah. And right here, to claim a spot at the dinner, investors had to purchase at least 4,196 units of the Trump coin, worth about $54,000. The VIPs had to hold about 325,000 Trump coins, worth 4.2. So if if they give you a number of 4,196, what are you going to do? You're going to buy that, boom, I'm in, sell them, right? You're just going to dump them. So, yeah. The sentiment appears to share broadly among sophisticated crypto investors. As of Friday, only 9 smart money traders, meaning those with a strong track record of profitability, are invested in the Trump coin. Also, I've heard that it's mostly foreign dignitaries. Like I don't know if there's a list, or maybe it'll say it here. Though many of qualified attendees were apparently unmoved by the prospect choosing to forego the NFT in favor of offloading their coins, it has not made a material detrimental impact on the Trump price. At the time of writing, the Trump coin is trading at $12.86 per unit, down from 14.59 on. So they're dumping their coins and it's going down. Mm-hmm. And even in the Wired articles, it says, in establishing an explicit quid pro quo, a large investment in exchange for a dinner with the president, the competition effectively turned Trump into a so-called utility coin, because they need that to. It's crazy. I do recommend, if you're crypto curious, there's Zeke Fox is his name. There's a book. He's a journalist. He tracked it for a couple of years. Well, probably most of what I read. The book takes place over a couple of years. It's called, I think, Number Go Up. It's got a black cover with a coin and it's got Sam Bankman-Fried on the coin in the cover. And he starts the book interviewing Sam Bankman-Fried when he was coming up, and how hopeful he was, because he was like an altruist. Like, if I get all this money, I can do good things with it. And then he interviews him, I think, in the Bahamas at the end when he's about to go to court and go to jail. and it's really interesting. He had his own pitfalls with coins, and he goes through the process of turning real money into an NFT because he had to buy one of the NFTs to like get into this club so he could like interview people. And it's like a page long of like, you take your money, you put it in this exchange, but the NFT doesn't take that exchange money. So then you have to put it in this other exchange. And he goes, and at the end, he's like, this is giving you a lot of confidence, isn't it? Like the amount of like, it goes to this exchange, it goes to that exchange. Oh, then I get my NFT. And he goes, this was like my kid's college fund. Luckily, after the event ended and he interviewed people, they didn't even ask to see the NFT because he thought that was his way in. Most people didn't care. But it was interesting at the end, he was able to sell it to someone and he only lost a few $1,000s, but the price was crashing. So he was lucky enough to kind of get out with going, well, I lost $2,000 or whatever. So that's not as bad as like losing the $20,000 that, I could have lost. It is a fascinating book. He is a great writer. He's very, very pretty funny in the whole thing. He got, I also had this happen to me. Have you heard about pig butchering? Have you heard that term?
No.
So it's idea of someone reaching out to you and just trying to be your friend, and then after a while it turns into like, hey, look at this investment. Hey, look at this. Hey, look at that. And then the money's going into some black account and then they're getting a cut, I actually had it happen to me at work where I get calls from people all the time that are unsolicited. And so someone said, where are you today? And I thought, oh, it's a number I didn't save. And I said, I just said the city. I'm in the city. And they said, oh, I'm sorry, this is the wrong. And then I was like, who is this? And they're like, oh, sorry, is this Vicky? And I was like, no, this isn't Vicky. This is a work phone. And then a couple minutes later, it was like, hey, you sound nice. What are you doing right now? Like these texts. And I was like, I know what this is.
It's, yep. There's a lot of that's on the relationship side going on. Like it's a big scam where people will send a text message like, "Hey, I had a great time on our date last night. When can we get together again?"
Yeah. Well, this is specifically Zeke Fox even went to these facilities where it is slave labor, like indentured servitude, where they put people in a room with 4 laptops and a phone, and you have to slaughter or butcher whatever, and then you get a cut and you get to like live basically. And it's,
you get promoted, you move up to higher level jobs.
Yeah, or you only have one client that's like a big fish, as opposed to 17 people that make $50,000 a year that are trying to scrape by. And in the book, he actually tried to speed up the process, where he's like, oh, I see what's happening. And he said, I told my wife, I showed her the text, but I was like, I'm going to try to speed it up. He's like, oh, thank you so much. Oh, cute photo, like tried to like, and then he goes, it was weird. Like he's like, hey, I'm investing in this. He would try to like propose it, and they would like didn't say anything, and then they would get back to him, and that's when he went into the whole pig butchering part of it. Like, and a lot of this is fueled by crypto because a lot of the stuff on the blockchain is anonymous, so people don't know where the money's coming from and stuff. And
anonymous-ish.
Right, it's harder to trace than like, hey, Avin, I'm going to transfer so much money into your bank.
We've proven pretty well that we can track where money moves. It has to. There's a way to launder it far more easily, but they've proven that they can show that like money moved from this wallet to this wallet. They can see that. That's available information.
But then who owns the wallet? I've heard that's the big sticking point of like who owns these wallets. What company is, what shell company is this that is like, okay, we can see the money move, but like whose money is this? Like what country is this? That's what I've heard the problem is now. Of like,
they've been able to track it and prosecute, but I don't know how they're doing it. I haven't watched.
Well, his book's really good. I recommend it. What's really great about it is he actually talks about how they mine crypto, which I didn't understand, and it really took him like a paragraph to describe it, and I was like, oh my god, that's crazy, And I think the line he got from another reporter who he quoted was like, it's the equivalent of letting your car run all day for 24 hours for 7 days a week to see if you can stop climate change. Like it's the equivalent of it, just like you're just.
That's not a very good analogy.
Well, I'm probably getting it wrong.
Like the equivalent of letting your car run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to regather the carbon back out of it so that you can make a diamond.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably a bad way to do it, but like when you're letting your computer run and all of these other different processors run as they crunch
Equation or whatever.
the hashes, trying to find one that actually matches. Right, like it's really just a roulette at this point in time. Like, am I going to get lucky enough to be the one who actually lands on another hash,
So you
and I get to
get
keep that?
so you get your 6 coins or whatever it is. I don't know what it's up to, but he said in the book it was like 6 coins you get or whatever. It's like a booby prize of. It's literally like you said roulette of like yes, give me my six
In the
coins.
olden days, it didn't used to be that way, right? Like Bitcoin and some of the others, like the hashes were pretty. There's a lot of coins out there in the overall space of like Bitcoin and Ethereum and some of the others. But now it's getting, because like Bitcoin specifically has a designed cap, and so there's just fewer and
Oh,
fewer. And as it gets closer and closer to the end, the hashes get more and more and more complex
right.
by design.
Yeah. Well, that's
Anyway,
that's what he.
we've gone off on a tangent.
No, I mean
So
it does have
in
to
the
do
end,
with the Bitcoin and stuff like that. I just think like I mean we are coming a little bit to the end. What I think is so crazy is like I don't want to hear from any person on the right about like the Hunter crime family or the I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear anything about the
right,
crime. Like I just it's listen. I don't think it
but
was good with Hunter Biden. He did get popped and he was going through a trial and investigation and he was found. They were going to maybe talk about probation. I
forget
understand.
that all of that stuff was about his a gun that he illegally owned.
Yeah,
Like that's what he got in trouble for.
yeah,
They weren't able to make anything stick on the corruption stuff. There's enough evidence there to make you go, that's believable. That's
yeah.
believable. Okay.
A dude on
Right? Like
heavy.
I could see where you might think this is actually going on, and I could see where you'd be up in arms and you want it
Yeah,
investigated. But if you want that investigated, you should want the other side too, and
yeah,
you're an utter hypocrite if you don't.
yeah. I've always brought that
And
up.
and
That
that's my problem. But the thing is, if you're on the right hand side of the media spectrum right now, no one is covering it. And any coverage that is there is the left is biased and they hate the president and they've got Trump derangement syndrome and all of this is above board and it's completely okay and you shouldn't worry about it.
yeah. It's a
Unless you're enterprising enough to go out and look at other media
yeah,
and actually think there may be merit to it,
yeah,
you're sucked into the cult and can't have a free and independent thought. You're being told what to think and you can't analyze.
yeah. I mean,
I hope that someone that is doing that, here's what I have to say, and out of sheer, like, I'm going to prove you wrong, Avin, goes out and actually listens to stuff, and then maybe is willing to actually give the possibility of the person reporting it is actually doing it in good faith and is like, oh, this is bad.
I would
Like,
literally.
enough people need to do that.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. I would like in a good faith, like you said, right wing and like Benny Johnson or Ben Shapiro, and then a left wing person. There's a lot of good ones out there. Kyle's good. Secular Talk. Crystal Ball with Breaking Points. I think would be good. I would listen to. They don't have time. Whatever they have. Families and they have to like eat. But I would listen to like the 2-part 4-hour podcast where they just go line item by line item, and then yeah, you could bring up stuff on the left. Like, and again, I don't think it's the gotcha that the people on the right think, and they go, well, what if we went after Hillary Clinton? It's like great, go for it, man. You run it. Go after all. I don't care. Like go after.
100%. 100%. If you want to go after Hillary, just make sure that you're going after the Bidens too with the same level of conviction of the
Yeah,
Trumps.
yeah,
You want to go after the Bidens? Go for it. But you have to do the other side of it too.
yeah.
If you think there's corruption in government, it's not okay when your side is corrupt and the other side isn't. That's just as bad.
Yeah, it's I've seen people on the right point that out that like, hey, we had a problem with like the Clinton Foundation, which was a little rocky. It was a little, but they just organized events, but we thought this isn't good. You give them money and they organize events and they maybe get a speaking fee. Like that's kind of gross, right? Not totally corrupt. Like we get it at when you're out of office, right? Hey, you're no longer there. But this is like while he was in office, so like that's a little gross, right? What are you not making enough money as a president? Are we not anyway? But to say that you were uneasy with that and then be like, hey, this $400 million plane, nothing to see here, that's a little bit about beyond the pale of like, hey, we can't really say that anymore, right? Like
And the shit coins and the policy changes and all the access that everyone talks about Elon Musk and Doge, but you also have Andreessen and Teal,
Bro,
some of
we
the
need
others.
we need to do an episode on this like whole crypto. We'll have to do it next month because it would take a while for me to put it together. I literally found out that the Mac I'm using has like a journal vision board thing where you can do stickies and do lines and you can add media to it. And there's a whole thing I want to do on like I find
Are you
Andrew.
going to go on a Glenn Beck like
Yes, but it's going to
board?
be digital. It's going to be digital. There's not going to be real string. It's going to be whatever. You're going to have to just bear with me. But
Oh,
I am so fascinated by like Andreessen and all these people because I feel that they are doing themselves a disservice by giving interviews because it's like guys, like Andreessen is like, hey, he did a recent thing about AI and how amazing it'll be. Now listen, I'm not to talk about AI. We could go, you and I could do an episode on AI, but his whole thing is like, AI is really like you can't replace what he does because it's with the VCs and how they look at projects. He said it's just there's a philosophy to it and there's a human element. And in the interview, in this whole spiel, I just one phrase or sentence he said stuck out with me. And he said, in the past 10 years, VCs have probably been responsible for 2 out of the 10 biggest companies, and developments. And I thought that ain't great. That two
it's
out
not a
of
strong argument
Yeah, it's
for you.
not a good argument. Like I always talk to my wife about like whenever AI comes up, I'm like, they always talk about. I'm gonna swear again because I have to quote my father, but let's stick with me. They always talk about how AI is going to replace jobs, which it will. I mean, it's going to get smarter and better. It's going to do things. But they always talk about like working class people, like, hey, it's going to replace this. We need like truck drivers and all this stuff. And it's like, it will. It will. I mean, that's just, we're on that timeline. But I think the first thing it's going to go after is these white collar people that do like CEOs and all this stuff because,
We're already seeing it in the white collar space, Joe.
well, I mean, like I'm talking
The,
about.
the the amount of open jobs for devs has crashed.
Yeah, I know Microsoft just laid off about 6,000 people the other day too. Or they announced layoffs. But my point is that I think that these people, like Mark Andreessen and stuff, they think they're like in this bubble above everybody. And I'm like, no, it will come for me. But to quote my father, again, I'm going to swear because I'm quoting my father. He said, and this was about robots years ago, because they talked about, everything's going to be robots. And my dad said, tell me when a robot replaces your fucking toilet. And so, like, I think there is still like with
But that's way further down the line.
yeah. I think these CEOs think that they're in this protected bubble, and I don't think it's as strong as they think it is. I think the AI is working through white collar right now, like doing coding jobs and all that kind of stuff. And I think it will get up to these VC people where it's like, hey, we've crunched the numbers. This is not a viable business. Because if you think about it, they are human, and it is true. Where if you have a relationship, like if you came to me and had an investment thing,
Kind of.
I would listen to you more than I would listen to some guy off the street, right? I'd be like, oh, I have a relationship with Avin. If he's vetted this, that's part of the VC process. And Mark Andreessen talked about that in the interview. I just think that it's like, hey, I don't think you're as much a protected class as you think you are. It is coming for you. So like you need to stash away some cash and, pick up another trade. It is coming for me, but I think I'm farther down the road than it's coming for you. And I don't think that they understand that or, I don't think that they realize that or whatever. So
No, they know. I mean, eventually it is, right? Like, basically all jobs are on the line on a long enough timeline.
yeah,
Eventually, we will have robots that are capable of doing the work we don't want to do. But the last jobs to go are going to be the manual labor service jobs because robots are going to be too expensive for the average contractor,
yeah,
builder, right? They're not going to want to spend the money on that when they can hire people to do the labor.
yeah,
Eventually, they won't be, though.
yeah.
Eventually, you'll go, look, I'm going to buy this robot once. He's going to work for it is going to work for me for 15 years, and I will never have to make another investment in it other than basic maintenance.
I'll never. I
And
don't have to pay them hourly. I can turn them off at the
I
end of
have
the
to
day.
charge it at the
Yeah,
end of every day, right? So
yeah,
my electricity is, $10 a day as opposed to, $45 an hour for the person doing the work. But that's quite a ways down the line. And I think Andreessen has a bit of a point, right? Like there is an art to figuring out like what are people going to want to pay for, what is going to pay a dividend, where
oh,
money is going to move towards it. But they're gonna VC teams will shrink or the amount of money in it for them will go down as AI is used to leverage is this a good deal, is it not? And eventually AI is going to get good enough at recognizing human behavior and patterns demographically. And so they're going to say, this product is crap here in the States, but if you invest a lot of money, it'll function really well in the Philippines.
Yeah.
You make this much money in return. You should deploy it there because of cultural differences.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, I wasn't like faulting him for that argument. It is
It's
true.
not coming for you, Joe. I'll just tell you that. You,
Listen,
you got you got a long runway.
I do. I have a long runway, but it's still a runway. You gotta take off right from the plane. I think maybe we will do that next episode because I keep seeing these people pop up and they give these interviews and I'm like, guys, like, come on, like, like, listen. I know I'm on the chopping block, but like, it's that thing, the meme with the James Franco from that movie where like everybody's got the noose and he just looks at him and goes, "First time, huh?" I think their thing is like it's like you're just looking down the gallows, going, "Where are they going to start at that end and they're going to come here?" And I think you're farther down the line than I am. Like you're closer to the hangman than I am for your job. So, is there anything you want to plug before we take off? Is there anything you want to?
I'll bring it up. I always do. I've got my YouTube channel, Your Agent Guide. I don't have anything new up there. I want to get more new stuff, but Lisa and I are a lot of stuff going on, getting ready to sell our house and move, with the idea of getting me more time back in my life. So hopefully
Yeah.
I'll have more space and energy and time where I can start doing Your Agent Guide stuff again. And that is my real estate business. I don't do a whole lot of real estate transactions. The primary purpose of Your Agent Guide is to help people find professional, talented agents in their area to help them buy or sell a home.
Yeah, it's important, man. It's one of those things where, again, I've said it many times, but if I knew then, if I knew then what I know now, you need someone to be like, hey, don't worry about this or worry about this or push for this. It's all helpful. Plus, I mean, it's hard
You had
enough.
a uniquely bad experience without the knowledge of knowing it was bad until after the fact.
Dude, till like 5 years after, I was like, wait a minute. I mean, luckily the price it really didn't affect the price of the home, but like everything around it was like, ooh,
Yep.
I don't like this. But now it's one of those things talk to my wife. It's like, well, now I know what to look for. Like one, I can call you. Two, it's
You,
like,
you know more.
yeah, yeah, I have a better idea. Yeah, I mean, for my thing to plug, Gaming with Grief, I took a little bit of a hiatus because, I wanted to do better reviews, not more reviews. And then I had to go to town. And I'm trying to do some stuff we know that I know that our thumbnails suck. We probably need to get more people to listen. And I think maybe I'm going to start doing video. Like we'll react to video because, one, it does seem to be the trend. I hate it on YouTube. It just seems like a lot of people react to video, which is fine. But I also think, instead of, talking about to me, it's like a little bit more instead of me saying, hey, I'm going to paraphrase this, we can just play the video and react. And so I think maybe in the next couple of weeks, I'll have some video clips. I do think next month we will, unless there's something, I think we will have to do something on AI and tech and like Mark Andreessen and all these people because they were behind the president when he got elected. They all sat behind him, Google, and were like, so now they're part of what's going on, whether they like it or not. He's Tim Cook had to talk to him about, didn't Trump call him Tim Apple? Didn't he call him Tim Apple or anything? Yeah, he did. Yeah, it's like now they're kind of like running the show kind of a little bit. So I guess we got to talk about them. So we'll probably do that next month again, unless some weird thing happens. And I'm also thinking about doing rants straight to camera. I don't know if it's going to be useful. So there might be some that pop up, but when it's like late and I can't sleep, and you start reading about the stuff about, let's just say, Mark Andreessen, and you're just like so like hot take stuff of like, my God, what's going on?
Are we going to do like short clip rants, like back and forth to one another, like the Green Brothers?
I mean, if we did that, I'd be okay with that. They're good people. If we modeled it after the Green Brothers, we'd be so lucky, I mean, because they're charming to each other. They truly, I mean, they're siblings, but you could tell they love each other and they wish each other the best. I mean, you're my friend. I wish you the best. I don't think I'd ever. That's why we never want to title our videos like "Destroy" because it's like, no, we just had a disagreement. After this, we're going to talk about lunch and send each other cat videos and stuff. So
Yeah.
there's no point in destroying Avin. What am I gonna? Then I'm gonna call back and be like, I didn't really mean to destroy you. And Avin would say, you didn't destroy me. You're wrong. And I'd say, okay, touche. That would be our day. So yeah, that's it for this. Episode, and we'll see everybody next month.